Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. So it's a new year and I'm making a few changes to the channel. We're going to work more on woodworking projects than Harbor Freight and Ryobi videos this year. I'm going to be honest guys, we are creeping up on 1,000 subscribers on this channel and I thank you very much for that. And it's been a 3-year long process to get there and I'm very happy that you all have stuck with me and we made it. But now we can really start doing a few more of things that are woodworking related. And I also want to work on the channel a little bit more to make the videos look a little better for you. One thing is using a whiteboard like this. So I had to make one. So this video is going to be building this whiteboard. This is all, and you can see I'm already starting to use it. This is all made out of reclaimed materials. I actually found a whiteboard in the trash. Somebody had one that was busted. They threw it away. It was about a 4 foot by 3 foot whiteboard. And I was able to cut 3 or 4 small pieces like this to use. So everything here is reclaimed. The oak is from reclaimed hardwood floors that I actually milled up a couple of years ago. I did a video on that. I'll post that up here. My use case is a little bit different than average. I don't have any little till down here to hold the pens or an eraser because I'm going to hang this on a light stand so that I can talk to you like this instead of having to read it like this. I'll show you my use case at the end and you'll see why I don't have that. But if you wanted to put a little pen holder down here, it's just a matter of gluing a piece of wood to the bottom here. I think that's pretty easy to understand. This would be long grain to long grain gluing. It would be very easy to put that there. Now, this build is kind of neat because this is a whiteboard. You could put a chalkboard in here. You could put a picture in here, a piece of glass and some artwork. So the woodworking parts here is the same as a picture frame. And in my next video, I'm actually going to build a picture frame so that you can see the differences in how you mount a picture in here instead of a piece of whiteboard. This was very easy. I just crazy glued this thing in. So in a nutshell, let's get into the build. The build I filmed entirely from a different angle than I normally film. I didn't use this camera. I had the camera right here. And you're going to get a little bit more close-up of the workings of the build, except when I'm down on the basement on a table saw. And I'm going to just talk over it a little bit. So it's a little bit different way of how I do the videos as well. So let's get into that, and then at the end, I'll show you my use case and how I'm going to use it. So let's get into the build. Okay guys, here's the beginning process. As I mentioned in the intro, I selected 4 sticks from the oak flooring I milled up, so no joiner or planer needed here. Now obviously, if you were building this from rough lumber, you would have to joint and plane your boards flat and true. What I did is I just picked 4 sticks that were slightly longer than needed, and we will trim them to proper length when we get to the mitering section. So here I'm laying out for the first step, which is to cut the rabbet to put the whiteboard in. And I'm doing it at the table saw. You could use a router. You could do it at a router table. You hand plane guys, you could do it with a plow plane. Any method will work. What you need is just something that will fit the whiteboard secure enough to hold it in. I'm just going to, super glue this thing in, so it'll be pretty easy. I'm giving it about a 3/8 rabbet all the way around. Here I'm actually cutting one end of each board at 45 degrees. In this step, I'm ganging the 2 equal length sides up to cut the 45 on the other side so that they're the same length. Okay guys, it's time for the glue up, and I am using this nice old cast iron Stanley 400 miter vise. You don't need to use this. I recently purchased this and I just wanted to use it for this build. Normally with this vise you would use some kind of mechanical fastener, some brads or something to blow in there so you could keep going to each corner. I didn't use any mechanical fasteners, so I literally glued this up, waited 30 minutes, did the next corner, did that 4 times. I was doing this on a Sunday when NFL playoffs were on, so it was pretty easy to go every half hour at a commercial and take care of this. In next week's video, when I do a picture frame, I will glue all 4 corners at once with a different clamping method. So as you can see here, as I'm doing the third and fourth steps, this thing came together pretty good. I took about 20 minutes setting that miter saw up. That is a very inexpensive $130 MSRP miter saw, and it did a good job. As you can see, these joints are closing down nicely, and I'm pretty happy with the results. Here's the fourth corner, and it is coming up very close. Later in this video, you'll see that there was a little gap at one end that I cleaned up with a little bit of glue and sawdust. But all in all, I was very happy with the setup of that saw. So once the glue up was done, obviously I had to do some sanding. This is 120 grit on the Random Orbit sander. I'll do a little more finish sanding later. Okay, now I'm measuring the center of each corner for some 5/8 holes I'm going to drill with a Forstner bit. I am going to use some interesting joinery here. Since this is a utilitarian whiteboard I'm going to use in the shop, I didn't want to bother making a spline jig and putting splines in here. I'll do that next week in the picture frame. But I saw Steve at the Woodworking for Mere Mortals site do a very interesting dowel fix to secure a picture frame. And here you can see I'm drilling the holes. Kind of blocked it with my hand on this first one, but in the next shot I think I nail it and frame the drill bit pretty well. So you'll see that in a second. Here I'm fitting the dowel, so you'll see what I'm going to do here. I think this is a pretty ingenious way to secure the frame. This is going to add a lot of support. That dowel is going into that hole and it's going to fill and make for a nice secure joint. Just a quick shot of me cutting the 4 little plugs out of the dowel. It's 5/8 inch oak dowel I happen to have laying around. And now I'm gluing them in. I'm pretty happy with this method. Again, I saw this at the Woodworking for Mere Mortals site. I think if you found me, you've seen Steve out there. He's had a YouTube channel for I think over 10 years. He used a much wider frame, and I think he used a piece of dowel rod that would be for a closet hanging pole. It was a much bigger dowel that he used, but for my frame, this is going to work well. And spoiler alert, the finished product is really pretty darn secure, so I really like the way this method works. Okay, then we got to cut these flush. And yeah, these oak dowels are not as easy as little pine dowels are to cut true. This looks like I'm struggling here. Normally when you see YouTubers do this plug cutting, you're going to see this view here where we speed it up. That looks a hell of a lot easier, right? That little saw does have a hard time with oak, so don't be disappointed if you struggle when you go to do this. These last 3 are sped up, so it looks like I'm cutting it easily. It's oak, and that little blade is thin, so it did have a hard time. Okay, more sanding. I had to flush up the plugs after cutting them. They actually came out really nice. They actually, I think they look good. I mean, I had oak laying around for dowel, which was honestly lucky. Then I do a little 180 finish sanding here. I did this on the whole project. I didn't want you to have to watch me do all of this sanding, so I'm just showing a little bit of it here, but I did sand the whole project. Alright, here you see I got a little glue and a little sawdust. You can see the bottom right hand corner here. It's a little open on the outside. It's good and tight on the inside. I think for a $130 saw, this thing's set up pretty darn well. That is a couple of thou opening there. Honestly, if I just sanded that and stained it, it would have been fine. But I'm putting a little bit of, this little glue and sawdust mixture here to kind of clean it up, just to make it look perfect. The saw itself, I did a review of this saw. I'll post it up above. I'm pretty happy with the results I'm getting from that saw. So now we're going to put a little coat of boiled linseed oil on here. Not going to really go crazy with a finish for this particular thing because it's shop furniture at the end of the day. I'm going to be using this in the shop. Honestly, whatever materials you use to make yours out of, stain it, paint it, whatever you're going to do, finish it how you like. It's pretty easy to finish this thing in many different ways. Okay, a couple of drops every few inches of the medium consistency of this super glue, and then I'll spray a little of the hardener applicator on the whiteboard itself and press it in, and this thing will be done. Hey guys, so here's my use case. As you can see, I got a light stand here with a couple of little rigged things that are in the photography world to allow you to hold lights and things anywhere you need in video. That's not important. What's important is this is how I'm going to use this thing. You can see here's the camera I normally use. You're on a tripod where I normally stand behind my bench. This camera normally films me there. So this will be just out of camera view, and I'll be able to look here, read my bullet notes, and talk to you all without looking around trying to figure out what to say, forget something, have to go back and reshoot it because my notes will be here. It'll be clear and concise, hopefully, and things will make sense. I have to move this a little bit to get it out of camera view, but this is the setup, and this is how this is going to help me. Now, I mentioned that I did not put a piece of shelving down here to hold the pen. Literally any scrap of wood can be molded and glued right here to make a little shelf if you want to make that. You could route a little trough in there to hold a pen or a marker. My use case, I don't need that. I take this to my office, I make the notes, I bring it in here, and I clip it to the light stand. So I didn't need to do that. Your use case is probably going to be in your home office if you're teleworking now, in your kitchen to leave notes for the kids, whatever. These are nice little things to have around the house. As you can see, it's going to work well for me. If you like this video, please hit the like button and please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because that's what the bullet note tells me to say here. So it's working for me already. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.